Hello everybody, it's Tanya. I'm here going to bring you another good lesson today. I did not know anything about this person. I've never heard about her in the Bible. I've heard of the walls of Jericho, but have any of y'all heard the story of Rahab? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, and it is a wonderful story. So we're going to be in Joshua 2, that whole chapter to begin with. And it says, "And Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, Go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into a harlot's house named Rahab, and lodged there." So 2 men were sent to be spies secretly in the land of Jericho. And they came to a harlot's, which means whore's house, and her name was Rahab, and she let them lodge, which is stay there. And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, Behold, there came men in hither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the country. So the king of Jericho was told that those 2 men were there at her house. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, Bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be come to search out all the country. And so the king sent men to tell Rahab to bring the men forth to him. And the woman took the 2 men and hid them, and said thus, There came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. But instead of telling, she hid them, and said she didn't know who they were. And it came to pass about the time of shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. And so she told them, meaning the men that had came, that the other men had went out, meaning left and went out of the gates, so that they would be pursued that way, and they wouldn't look any further in her house. But she had brought them up to the roof of the house, and hid them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. So in actuality, she hid them on the roof underneath the stalks of the flax, which is flaxseed grain, to keep them hidden and they wouldn't be found, in case the men did come into her house. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan and to the fords, and as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate. So the men pursued them through the gate, and not in her home. So they believed what she had said, when she said that they weren't there and they had left. And before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof. So when the coast was clear, as we say it, she went up to the roof. And she said unto the men, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. So she spoke with them and told them what she understood, and she knew the Lord had sent them. For we had heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the 2 kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom we utterly destroyed. So she knew what would occur if she didn't help them. That was her faith. She knew the stories. And so my note is her faith was real strong at that point. Verse 11, And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt, neither did they remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. So our is the men that she hid. Their hearts melted because she had helped them. And so she was a godsend, meaning Rahab was a godsend to these 2 men. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that ye will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token. So she prayed with them that they would show her the same kindness one day, a token of love. And that we will save alive my father and my mother and my brethren and my sisters and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. So she prayed for the lives of her family and herself, because she knows something is to come. And the men answered her, Our life for yours, if ye utter not this our business, and it shall be when the Lord hath given us the land, and that we will deal kindly and truly with thee. So they answered her with, a life for a life. So when their business is done, they will remember her. Verse 15, then she let them down by a cord through the window, for her house was upon the town wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. So she helped them down by a cord, not out the door, because she was being watched, her house was. And she said unto them, get you to the mountain, lest the pursuers meet you, and hide yourself there 3 days, until the pursuers be returned, and afterward may ye go your way. So she instructed them to go into the mountains for 3 days and hide themselves, and let those people that had went out the gates that was looking for them, they would return in 3 days. She knew that, so she was giving them that insight of what they needed to do to save themselves. 17 says, and the men said unto her, we will be blameless of this thine oath, which thou hast made us swear. And so they took an oath, which is a pact or promise, and made her swear by it, and they did as well. Verse 18, behold, when we come into the land, thou shalt bind this line of scarlet thread in the window, which thou didst let us down by, and thou shalt bring thy father and thy mother and thy brethren, all the father's household, home unto thee. So they told her to bring her family to her house and place the scarlet thread, which is some type of material that was scarlet in color, in that same window that she had helped them escape through, because remember, they didn't go through the door. And verse 19, and it shall be that whosoever shall go out of the doors of thy house into the street, his blood shall be upon his head, and we will be guiltless. And whosoever shall be with thee in the house, his blood shall be on our head, if any hand be upon them. So they're telling her, if the family leaves, then the blood is not on their hands, but if they remain, they will be protected through this oath that they're giving her. And if thou utter this our business, then we will be quit of thine oath, which thou hast made us swear. So she couldn't tell anyone what is going to occur. That's what that business is. She had to remain quiet and have faith of what was to come. And she said, according unto your word, so be it. And she sent them away, and they departed, and she bound the scarlet line in the window. So she said, okay, so be it, and put the scarlet line in that window. So she's doing as she was told. And they went and came unto the mountain, and abode there 3 days, until the pursuers were returned. And the pursuers sought them throughout all the way, but found them not. So they hid themselves for 3 days, as she had instructed them to do, and they were not found. So she held up her part of the bargain as well. So the 2 men returned and descended from the mountain, and passed over, and came to Joshua the son of Nun, and told him all things that befell them. So the 2 men returned to Joshua and told him what had occurred between Rahab and them, and that all the people were scared of them there in the town. Verse 24, and they said unto Joshua, truly the Lord hath delivered into our hands all the land, for even all the inhabitants of the country do faint because of us. And so they knew that God had delivered them the land, because all the town was scared of the 2 men. They were being hunted, remember? All right, we're going to skip on over to Joshua 6 and 17, and then 20 through 25. And so what we just read was Rahab was having faith. Now we're going to talk about that promise being kept. So verse 17 says, and the city shall be accursed, even it and all that are therein, to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. So the walls of Jericho are about to fall, and only Rahab the harlot shall live, and who is in her house. And so my note, all the trumpets were sounding for 7 days if you read about the walls of Jericho. So don't you know that Rahab was nervous? She had faith, but she was still nervous. She knew what was about to come. So skipping over to verse 20, it says, so the people shouted when the priest blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. So the trumpets blew and the people shouted, and the walls fell flat. The mighty walls of Jericho fell by the way of sound, y'all. Sound made the walls of Jericho fall. But remember, she lived in a wall of the city, and hers did not fall. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, and ox and sheep and ass, with the edge of the sword. So everything was destroyed by the edge of the sword, which is words and sounds, right? What is Jesus' tongue? Remember that. But Joshua had said unto the two men that had spied out the country, Go into the harlot's house, and bring out thence the woman and all that she hath, as ye swear unto her. So that oath. So the same two spies were sent to get Rahab and her family from those walls that had fallen. But she and her family were protected. Verse 23. And the young men that were spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and her mother and her brethren and all that she had, and they brought out all her kindred and left them without the camp of Israel. So they went and brought out of the rubble Rahab and her family and their belongings. Verse 24, and they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and of iron they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. And so they burnt the city and took the valuables and put in the treasury of the house of the Lord all those things that they collected. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had, and she dwelleth in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. So this clearly states that she was saved because she hid the messengers. She had that faith and she done the work. And we're going to get up to that in just a little bit. All right. Moving on to Hebrews 11, 30 through 34. We're going to be talking about the hall of faith, not fame. So by faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they were encompassed about 7 days. So by faith, what did Rahab have? She had faith, and they were surrounded in Jericho for those 7 days, and she believed. By faith, the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she had received the spies with peace. So by faith, she did not perish. It was a test of faith to receive those 2 spies into her home. And my note, did Rahab pass the test? Yes, she did. And what shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and of Barak and of Samson and of Jephthah, of David also and Samuel and of the prophets. So these are other stories of people having faith. Verse 33, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions. So these are things that occurred throughout the Bible with those other stories of people having faith. So they had faith and were courageous. And quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword. Remember what happened to the walls of Jericho with that sword? Out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, and turned to flight the armies of the aliens. So the test of faith and endurance makes you stronger, meaning won't faint. And we have to be ready to fight the army that is upon us, just like Rahab did in her time. You see where this lesson's going, y'all? It is so good. All right, moving on to James 2, 24 through 26. This is have faith and do the work. So ye see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only. So works, what did Rahab do? She hid the spies and remained quiet about what was coming. Faith alone without doing the work will not be enough. Verse 25, likewise also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works, when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way. So she was justified by her actions, that work. And for as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. So this is saying the body, which is the human body, is dead without the Spirit, which is the Holy Spirit. So faith without doing the work is also dead. We have to have faith and do his work, which is God's will, to be justified. So we have to walk the walk and talk the talk. All right, moving on to Psalms 87. It says, his foundation is in the holy mountains. So his is God's foundation is in the holy mountains. And the Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. So God loves the gates of Zion, which is heaven, and dwellings of Jacob is Israel. He loves us all, but he does favor Israel because that's where his foundation is. And glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of God. And then it says, Selah. So glorious things are to come when we get to heaven. And Selah means take a sacred pause. Pay attention to those words that I just told you. God's foundation may be in Israel, but he loves us all. And we all know that Israel is favored. All right, moving on to verse 4. It says, I will make mention of Rahab and Babylon to them that know me. Behold, Philistia and Tyre with Ethiopia, this man was born there. And so this is God saying that all nations are accepted into the kingdom of heaven. And of Zion it shall be said, this and that man was born in her, and the highest himself shall establish her. And this and that man was born in her. I'm leading up to that. Y'all got to remember, Jesus and Rahab has got some genealogy, and that's what's going to wrap this story up. And so the Lord shall count when he writeth up the people that this man was born there. Selah. So write it up the people. This is my note. I'm thinking he's referring to the book of life. You read it and get your own understanding. But Selah, we're going to take another pause and hear those words. That Jesus and Rahab have some genealogy, and that's what I'm about to lead up to. As well, the singers as the players on instruments shall be there. All my springs are in thee. So singers and players of instruments shall be there in heaven, and all my springs, which is the waters of life, are in thee. So my note, why does God mention Rahab? We'll answer after this next set of scriptures, but the scriptures will answer it for you. So we're going to move on to our last set of scriptures, which is Matthew 1, 5 through 6. And in the end, it matters. So verse 5 says, and Salmon begot Boaz of it says Rachab, but it's Rahab. And Boaz begot Obed of Ruth, and Obed begot Jesse. And Jesse begot David the king, and David the king begot Solomon of her that had been the wife of Urias. So genealogy matters. Rahab married Salmon, and they had Boaz. And then Boaz married Ruth and had Obed. And then Obed fathered Jesse, and Jesse fathered David. So we all know that this is the bloodline of Jesus Christ. So through Rahab's faith and works, she became lineage for Jesus Christ. Rahab is mentioned in the first chapter of the New Testament, which symbolizes her importance in the building of Christ's foundation, his lineage. So we're going to recap. So Rahab is first described as a harlot, which is a whore. And she has faith and hides those spies. She takes an oath and remains quiet. And then the oath, the promise, is kept. She is placed in the hall of faith, not fame. And we learn that faith alone is not enough. We have to do the work. And this will be God's promise to us. In the end, it will matter. So Rahab teaches us that despite our backgrounds and failures, that we can overcome these obstacles and still win in the end. Her story is one of profound redemption. She trusted God enough to help the spies and knew that she would be protected as the oath was spoken. Psalms 87 is God's promise or oath to us. Do you hear those words? Even when the walls are fully and falling all around you, God is in control of your destiny. He was in that very moment in control of Rahab's destiny. He had something in place for her. She was going to be the bloodline of Jesus Christ. That's how important that whore was in the Bible. She went on to being the great-great-grandmother of King David, who Jesus came from. And her story is a powerful one. And she came from nothing. Like I said, she was a whore, but then she ended up being in the bloodline of Jesus Christ. So do you have faith in God to lead you to your destiny like he led Rahab to hers? I do, and I'm doing the work that he has given me, and I'm so proud to do it. I love sharing these stories with y'all, and that's what he's laid on my heart to do. I once was not a very good person, but now I've changed because he's took, a part of my life, and now I'm something completely different than what I was. And I pray that all of you do the same. And I assign this Love the Messenger because I feel I am a messenger. I send these stories and these sparks to spark your brain, I guess. And Mama Sarah says that she loves those sparks, and I hope that I'm sparking your brain. So if you think that you're nothing, you're more than what you think you are, and God has a plan for you. And I hope that this story of Rahab shows you that we can come from nothing and still win in the end. We just have to change our ways and do what we're told. Read this Bible and live that life, walk that walk, and talk the talk. And don't let that sword, that tongue, come and cut you and knock your walls down. We want to change and do what we're supposed to do. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and as always, y'all have a God bless day.